While Russian drones and missiles continue striking Ukrainian infrastructure, another negotiation is unfolding far from the front lines. In Geneva, U.S. and Ukrainian officials are discussing how to rebuild a country that is still actively at war, with costs already estimated at nearly $588 billion, and Kyiv aiming to mobilize as much as $800 billion over the next decade. This is not reconstruction after peace. This is reconstruction as leverage during war. And that changes everything. Map the situation. A 1,200-kilometer front line. Russian forces inching forward in Donetsk. Energy infrastructure repeatedly targeted. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant still under Russian control. At the same time, Washington is pushing trilateral talks that could eventually bring leaders together. But here's the strategic reality. Whoever finances Ukraine's rebuilding will shape its political and security alignment for decades. Over the next 6 months to 5 years, Reconstruction will evolve into a geopolitical instrument. Best case scenario. Reconstruction becomes the backbone of a Western-anchored security architecture. The United States and its partners lock in long-term investment tied to security guarantees, anti-corruption reforms, and integration into European supply chains. Private capital flows in under political risk insurance frameworks. Ukraine rebuilds energy grids with decentralized, hardened infrastructure that is less vulnerable to missile strikes. In this outcome, reconstruction isn't just recovery, it's strategic integration. Russia's leverage diminishes as Ukraine's economy pivots decisively westward. Most likely scenario. Reconstruction is phased, conditional, and politicized. Major funding is pledged but released slowly, tied to ceasefire compliance and territorial compromises. Some projects move forward in western and central Ukraine, while contested regions remain frozen. Energy rebuilding becomes urgent but incomplete. Investors remain cautious, requiring sovereign guarantees and multilateral backing. The United States uses financial levers, including pressure on Russian energy assets, as bargaining chips in negotiations. Ukraine regains partial economic momentum but remains exposed to renewed escalation. The country survives, but its rebuilding is uneven and strategically constrained. Worst-case scenario, reconstruction becomes a bargaining chip that fractures the settlement. If territorial concessions become tied to funding guarantees, Kyiv faces a brutal choice between land and liquidity. Moscow, seeing Western money flood into Ukraine, escalates hybrid tactics, cyber attacks, sabotage, energy disruption to deter investment. International donors grow fatigued as costs spiral. Private capital stays away. Ukraine is left in a gray zone, too unstable for full recovery, too costly to abandon. In this outcome, reconstruction stalls and the war's economic damage calcifies into permanent instability on Europe's frontier. Here is the deeper shift. For the first time, reconstruction planning is happening before the guns fall silent. That means infrastructure maps are becoming negotiation maps. Power plants, ports, rail corridors, industrial zones. Each project signals political alignment. The structure of the funding will define Ukraine's sovereignty as much as any territorial line. And consider this. If hundreds of billions are committed by Western institutions, security guarantees will almost certainly follow. No investor deploys capital at that scale without protection mechanisms. That could mean expanded military cooperation, long-term defense contracts, and deeper integration into Western defense industries. Reconstruction could quietly formalize Ukraine's position inside a de facto Western security bloc, even if formal alliances remain politically sensitive. Russia understands this. That is why energy strikes continue. Destroying infrastructure now raises the cost of rebuilding later. It is economic warfare aimed at deterring long-term Western entrenchment. The next phase of this war may not be decided solely by artillery or drones, but by contracts, financing terms, and security clauses written in quiet conference rooms. Over the next 5 years, the central question will not just be who controls territory, but who controls the capital that rebuilds it. If reconstruction locks Ukraine irreversibly into Western systems, the geopolitical balance of Eastern Europe shifts for a generation. If it falters, Ukraine risks becoming a permanently contested buffer zone. The battlefield is still active, but the endgame is already being negotiated in steel, concrete, debt, and security guarantees.